Assalamu alaikum, everyone, and I'm very excited to welcome you once again to this annual Rohingya Ramadan show with Salam Media and Protect the Rohingya. This show is an opportunity for us to highlight those activists working on the Rohingya issues in the diaspora as well as inside Myanmar and Bangladesh. We don't obviously hear enough about the Rohingya, and so we have to keep speaking about them. And today is also International Women's Day. So we have a nice lineup of activists that are going to be going through the program with us today. And we're going to start with Khin. Of course, Khin is no stranger to South Africa. He's also the president of the Burmese Rohingya organization in the UK. Welcome to the show, Khin. I hope your Ramadan is going well.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me here. Yes, Ramadan going very well. Alhamdulillah so far.
Tinkin, the first thing I wanted to ask you was that we all saw in January a landmark moment, right, with the Rohingya back at the ICJ. Before we get into the serious questions, tell us what the atmosphere was like and how it felt to be part of those hearings.
The atmosphere in January was amazing because what we have seen there is, the Foley Hook team, the Gambia legal team, Foley Hook, Gambia Legal Council, Foley Hook, highlighted how, as a Rohingya, we were listening to and we are seeing at as a Rohingya, we passed through those life, our long time persecution by the Burmese military, and of course, historical existence and the way how Gambia legal team highlighted, that is the reminder for the Rohingya people, for the Rohingya, whoever came from Arkan state, like when our life passed through when we were teenagers and how we were restricted to go for matriculation by myself, to go to the university and others. So those kind of all restriction, historical existence, how very systematically from 1962 our ethnic right been taken away, including how existential threat we were facing, is a very wonderful presentation, and we have seen how Gambia legal team giving us a kind of, we were not in a court. We have never been. Today, we are at the courtroom, and we can see beside our left side, the other side is Burmese military regime is facing that, what they have done through our community. That is a real moment when you can feel in your heart and you feel more motivation, more encouragement. That is how, the words I can express from the survivors and myself also while sitting down. And of course, Brother Nisani was there with me, and we all been excited with the tears, with a kind of hope. We can see that is a movement how that military regime, you cannot run away. You have done so many decades about Rohingya genocide here. You have been doing it, but just face it now. And of course, they deny systematically, same as what they have done before many years. They have just denying whatever Gambia Legal Team Council is submitting anyhow. So that is a movement we all feel very encouraged. We all feel something hopeful for the Rohingya survivors.
It was really wonderful, even for all of us watching on TV, on social media. It was really just something amazing to watch. So, Tungyen, the court also set aside 3 days to hear witnesses, including Rohingya survivors. I know this is something that you also worked on your case in Argentina. Why is this so important?
Shabnam, the important thing, that the survivors, especially Rohingya women, they were raped. Thousands of Rohingya women were raped by Burmese military. And one thing is, Rohingya women, their voice need to be heard in this place because, let Rohingya man or all the Rohingyas, for me, I cannot control my tears when you talk about Rohingya women where as a weapon they did to rape, that is unbelievable how Burmese military did gang rape and this thing. So these women, they sh- they are very brave. They are very encouraged. They are very brave and courageous. One thing I remember when we were going with the flight to Argentina from Istanbul, my sister told me, brother, this is enough. When she landed with in an Argentinian, Buenos Aires airport, and
Mhm.
she was hugged by many psychosocial support group, and
Mhm.
that she has never seen as a Rohingya woman. She has never seen that kind of, you know,
Mhm.
generosity, hospitality, and showing sympathy. What she has passed through, that is what the Argentinian, the Buenos Aires, at the city, when as soon as we landed. With we are about more than 25 hours flight. They were very active. They were very motivated. They are very brave. As soon as they landed, they say, this is what I feel now today. I'm getting even I have she has not been to the court yet. I'm feeling something. This is how it looks like. So I heard from her own words, and she said, we are very happy, Argentinian, judiciary, they brought us here. And so that's talk a lot of things, relief, a lot of what they have passed through. This given them very motivation, really encourage them to move forward for further, justice and accountability continuously. That's talk a lot. So what I have seen here is, to be honest, this is the protection is very important for the survivors, and we have not, as far as we know, these survivors sitting down at the courtroom and giving what they have passed through. It's never happened before in the history. Rohingya women, what they have passed through, they have never been allowed inside the country to give their testimony, or any other parts of the world. In Argentina, at the Hague, they have passed through. This is a moment how these Rohingya women encourage their voice is very important, and of course, what they have passed through, the reality. Is very hard to listen in Argentina. What I have passed through is the men have to leave from the courtroom when they give testimony. That is how the situation, and it's no words to express what they have passed through, Shabnam. So, as far as I know, this is a kind of confidentiality and protection that's not coming to the media. That's priority for protection of victims is important. But as we can see, as we heard, this is very historic moment for the Rohingya community,
Okay. Tinkin,
especially for the Rohingya women.
of course, thank you. Tinkin, I wanted to ask you, you're also asking in the Argentinian case the issue, or raising the issue of reparations very boldly for the first time. How is the case going?
The case we filed, this is going forward, and this is very important that we file a civil claim against the architect of Rohingya genocide at the court in Buenos Aires. We are demanding that reparation for the genocide survivors, which is victims. And this claim is part of criminal investigation in Argentina, where the judiciary is already pursuing charges against senior military officials for Rohingya genocide and crimes against humanity against Rohingya under the principle of universal jurisdiction. So those named in the civilian claim include Miang Line and Sowin, the commander-in-chief, deputy commander-in-chief, the Burmese military, respectively, and other military officials, we put that. And one thing I want to point out here is, Shabnam, that our community, we suffered and we suffered through decades long genocide, affecting every aspect of our lives. The generation of Rohingya survivors, wherever, whether still in Burma or still in refugees camps elsewhere, have a right to reparations. And we hope this case in Argentina will be the first step towards that. And our petition, stressing that Miao Line sowing must be hold significant economic asset that can be used to compensate Rohingya genocide survivors, as identified by the UN fact-finding missions on Myanmar and others. These include like two major own military, economic holdings. Also, we asked to the court, that UN independent mechanism, investigation mechanism on Myanmar, that domestic Argentinian state-led financial investigative bodies to identify that whether further assets could be used to compensate the victim. One thing that also it is unacceptable, Burmese military continuing to amass blood money from its web and private assets, while Rohingya victims are struggling to survive, And we always ask in that Argentinian judiciary, same time when I went there, that we need to take up this case that ensure Rohingya who have fled for their life suffer unspeakable violations, we have seen the families members killed. They must get compensation. They deserve from those responsible. That is very important. We have to do.
100%. Tunkin, we have to go to an ad break now, but I'm going to thank you for joining us on this annual show, and I wish you and your family the best for the rest of Ramadan, and we will speak to you again about updates on your case. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Okay, with that, listeners, we're going to go to a commercial break.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
Many of us take an iftar meal for granted, but not everyone is as fortunate. This Ramadan, the Islamic Dawah movement will provide meals to thousands of Muslims from disadvantaged areas, as it has been doing for over 20 years, but they need your help. A donation of 30 Rand provides an iftar meal for a fasting person. Become an IDM sponsor and earn Sadaqah Jariyah, Zakat, Fitra, Kafara, and Fidya contributions are all welcome. Call IDM on 031 304 6883 or visit idmsa.org to donate. IDM, taking Islam to as many hearts and homes as possible.
This Ramadan, give the gift of clean water with Africa Muslims Agency. With every water well or borehole you donate, your drop becomes a river, reconnecting communities to nourishment, education, dignity, and empowerment. Sponsor a water well for 16,500 Rand in Africa or a borehole for 65,000 Rand in Afghanistan or Africa. Quench the thirst. Reconnect the soul with Africa Muslims Agency.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness, and every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and free zakat calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "Use the black seed, for indeed it is a cure for every disease except death." This Ramadan, honor that guidance. Tip Black Seed supports your blood sugar during fasting, boosts immunity, sustains your energy from suhoor to iftar. Available at leading pharmacies. Tip Black Seed, your golden drop every day.
Elite Basmati, available throughout the Middle East, and now for the very first time exclusive to South Africa. Brought to you by Murchison Spice, Pietermaritzburg's most famous specialty store. Elite Basmati, available in aromatic white and golden cellar, is packaged in a world-class facility in India and is filled with wholesome goodness for your well-being. Elite Basmati rice by Murchison Spice. For trade inquiries, contact Mohammed on 033 387 2121. Murchison Spice.
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum, listeners, and welcome back to this special Ramadan Rohingya broadcast. Our next guest is a trailblazer in her field. Hafsar Tameesuddin is the Co-Secretary General of the Asia Pacific Refugee Rights Network and an advisory member of the Global Movement of Statelessness. Hafsar, welcome to the show, and I hope your Ramadan is going well.
Thank you so much.
So, Hafsar, let's get straight into your questions. From your own personal and professional experience, what are the ways women from displaced communities lead, even when they are not formally recognized in these communities as leaders?
Thank you. Yes, for me, this conversation is both professional and deeply personal, and I really appreciate the slum media creating this space in acknowledging the genocide survivors like Rohingyas and others across the globe. And I particularly chose to speak about, women today is because it is also the International Women's Day in different part of the world, and I would like to honor the Rohingya women and other women from many different oppressed communities on this International Women's Day. So again, in my day job, I work in the regional refugee rights advocacy across Asia and Pacific region, where I engage with refugee-led organizations and many other oppressed communities, as well as civil society. So it is something that I carry with a sense of responsibility, solidarity, deep respect of communities who continue to resist erasure and exclusion like Rohingyas. So particularly among the Rohingya, this is especially very important to recognize about the women and their moral authority. When I speak about the moral authority, I mean the kind of authority that comes from lived experience and the kind that comes from surviving injustice, from carrying responsibility, from serving others, and from refusing to give up even when the world has denied their safety, rights, and recognition. So in many refugee and oppressed communities, women are doing essential work every single day. They care for children and elders. They preserve language, culture, memory, and identity. They support other women, and they hold together household under impossible circumstances. And among the Rohingya, it is especially very important to recognize, because for anyone who have done a bit of research on Rohingya communities, everyone knows that we have been deprived from many things for many decades before the genocide took place in 2017. So that means we have been disadvantaged compared to many other communities if we live out without acknowledging and honoring the authority, the moral authority Rohingya women carry out. We will be at disadvantage not using the 100% capacity that we have as a whole community. To pick it up, Rohingya women have faced some of the harshest forms of oppression that is unspeakable, unimaginable. And they have also experienced statelessness, forced displacement, and restriction on movement, exclusion from education and livelihood. And yet, even under these conditions, Rohingya women continue to contribute in ways that are powerful and meaningful. And you mentioned about ICJ a while ago. There are Rohingya women survivors who went there to still testify the horrendous experience they went through. That is the kind of moral authority that I'm highlighting today. And some of them, and most of them, whoever had the opportunity of supporting community learning in the refugee camp scenario. Some are mentoring younger girls across in diaspora community. Some are helping families navigate daily survival. Some are also documenting stories like the photographer, journalist, and protecting memory. Some are speaking out internationally. Some are involved in advocacy and community-led organizations. And some are also researchers. And many are doing all of this with very little visibility, very little funding, and very little support. So in my work, including through engagement with refugee-led advocacy spaces, and I've seen again and again that some of the strongest leadership comes from women who may never be formally recognized as leaders. I've seen women lead through community care, through quiet organizing, through mentoring, through advocacy, through simply refusing to let their communities be erased like Rohingya. And I have also seen how often their knowledge is undervalued, even though their understanding of what their community need is deep, practical, and immediate. That is why I believe we need to challenge the narrow image of refugee women as only helpless, as only the victims and silent or dependent. The image is incomplete. Honestly, it can be harmful. Because when we only see women through the lens of vulnerability, we fail to see their leadership, their intelligence, their ideas, their ability to shape their communities and their future, which is essential for the case of Rohingya. Of course, vulnerability exists. We should never deny that. But vulnerability and strength can exist at the same time. Suffering and leadership can exist at the same time. And I want to say something important here. Resilience should not be romanticized. We should not praise women for being strong in a way that ignore injustice that made the strength necessary. Women should not have to carry so much simply because system has failed them.
100%. And building up from the question that you just answered, why is it important to recognize women's leadership and contributions, and how do we go about doing that?
Yes, I mean, the recognition of women leadership, I have touched upon it. I want to repeat that again, but I want to touch upon how do we go about it. So I want to speak about the allyship that comes from within the communities for the women leadership to amplify it, not to replace it. The allyship that comes from media platforms, civil society, like yourself, for example, today, giving the voice to the women, giving the platform to the women from oppressed communities. So the role of allyship is not only to speak over the women from these communities. It is not for them to decide what matters most. It is not to use the story of women without giving them space, credit, or power. The role of the allyship, how do we go about this, is to open the doors for these women and share the platforms with them and resources with them and stand in solidarity in ways that are respectful and accountable. And good allyship also means asking very hard questions to ourselves, something like whose voices are missing today, who is being heard, who is being ignored, who gets the funding. And I speak about the funding because many women-led organizations, women-led movement are still under-resourced, and they are still not visible enough. And these are important questions because too often women from oppressed communities are invited to share suffering, not the strategy. In terms of how do we create the strategy in responding this bigger crisis of genocide and injustice, etc. They're only invited to testify, but not to lead. This needs to change. They are praised for resilience, but not resource for their work. So that has to change if we really want to support women from refugee and oppressed backgrounds, including Rohingya communities. Then we have to go beyond symbolic inclusion. We have to support real participation and real trust and real investment. That might mean funding women-led initiative directly. That might mean creating safer and more accessible ways for women to participate, like this platform and other, and also bringing women to ICJ for etc. It might mean translation, interpretation, and flexible support. What does it mean? It might also mean understanding that not all leadership looks public or polished. Some of the most important leadership happens quietly, often under great pressure. It also means recognizing that some women cannot safely speak publicly or may not be able to participate in the same way because of the realities and additional barriers that they face. So amplifying their work has to be thoughtful, ethical, and grounded in trust.
Thank you so much. I love what you said earlier that, we shouldn't exceptionalize this issue of resilience because those are things that people should never have had to do, and these women should never have had to do in the first place. So I think that you made such an important point. For our last question, I wanted to ask you, speaking about supporting and foregrounding Rohingya women and organizations, what is one project or one organization you think the listeners should go out there, check out and support?
I would strongly suggest the listener to do research about the project that are being led and initiated by the Rohingya themselves in the refugee camp in Cox's Bazar, where 1.3 million Rohingyas are now displaced. Because yes, I am so thrilled to hear about this milestone that we have come along together at ICJ court level, that the justice is coming closer and, finally our voices are being heard. But the reality is that while we wait for this justice to unfold, there is 1.3 million Rohingya during this holy month of Ramadan, struggling for food, struggling for iftar, struggling for sahur in the early morning food. So these Rohingya refugees on the ground, younger people, women and men, they are doing to what they can with what they have to respond to their community greater needs. Where there are gaps like the big NGOs and civil society cannot reach. For example, if there's fires, they just come together and they respond to the community needs with the best of their abilities and knowledge. So I strongly encourage, please do fund this grassroots-led, refugee-led, Rohingya-led movement in the camp, and the Rohingya-led initiative and Rohingya refugee women-led movement inside the camp. And it can be the very little donation that you make, or supporting their work and amplifying their work, and then thinking through what can be the longer strategy for the sustainability of the initiative that they have started. Because this Rohingya community, one day, if we go back to our community, it will be us rebuilding our community. And while we are inside the refugee camp, we are the one who will be who have to rebuild our community and heal our community for the unspeakable and unimaginable atrocities that we as the whole community have experienced. So therefore, I would strongly encourage to do the research on the Rohingya refugee-led movement and initiative that is happening in Cox's Bazar refugee camp level. Please support them, amplify their work, and help them strategize for the sustainability and support our communities in healing and in rebuilding. Thank you so much.
Hafsar, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to have to leave it there. We wish you the best for the rest of Ramadan, and we look forward to speaking to you again in the future. Assalamu alaikum. Listeners, with that, we're going to another ad break.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Across Sudan, starvation is tightening its grip. With rising food prices and widespread malnutrition, 8.7 million people are now facing emergency or famine-level hunger. As the conflict intensifies and aid routes narrow, families in Sudan are running out of options and time. The Al-Imdad Foundation is delivering life-saving humanitarian aid to those most at risk. Stand with Sudan. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities, conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities. Your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
With Ashraful Aid this Ramadan, your zakat changes lives. It feeds families facing hunger, restores dignity to those in need, and brings hope where it is needed most. From food relief to essential support, your zakah reaches communities with care, transparency, and impact. Give with confidence, give with trust. Make your zakah count this Ramadan. Give your zakah to Ashraful Aid and help change lives today.
With so many investment options today, it's only natural that you might feel a little confused which route to take. Should I buy shares or should I invest in gold bullion? Randery Jewelers now brings you the Zahab coin, an alternative to the Kruger Rand. The Zahab coin, a solid wealth protector in its purest form of 24-karat gold, is the safest way to protect your wealth. So don't just sit there and watch your paper money depreciate. Change to gold. Call Randery Jewelers now at 031 202 4701 or visit www.rjcoin.co.za, situated at 151 Essenwood Road, Musgrave, Durban. Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust. You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum, listeners, and welcome back to this very special Ramadan Rohingya broadcast on Salam Media. Our next guest is a very familiar face on almost every news channel, and he is a prolific commentator. I want to welcome Khin from the Free Rohingya Coalition. Lwin from the Free Rohingya Coalition. Sorry, he was talking about you earlier, Naysan, and I totally was, because Khin was talking about you.
It's okay. Maybe the iftar time is very close now. That is why,
And even yesterday,
alaikum.
And even yesterday when I called him, he was talking about you. So let's get straight into the questions. As you said, iftar time is coming. So everyone is calling what happened a sham election, right? Why is this very important to recognize and speak about?
Well, this is very simple in my opinion, and also that will reflect to the everyone opinion, because the military has been ruling the country since 2021 February. So they are seen as the military dictatorship, and also the coup has been rejected by the international community and the majority of the people in Myanmar. So they need to change their uniform. That is the reason first they were holding this election. Now they will be seen as a so-called civilian government. And another one thing is the one-party dominance. The NLD, the biggest opposition, the party ruled the country from 2015 to 2020. And also in the 1990 election, it has the landslide victory. And also in 2015, 2020, they had the landslide victory. So the majority of the people are supporting NLD. Whatever, they are against the Rohingya, this is the one thing. And most of the party member, including the former president and also the state councillor Aung San Suu Kyi, they were arrested during the coup operation. So they are still in prison. This is one thing. Another one thing is we have about the 330 township, 65 township. They could not hold the election, and also many other villages in the different township. And when they conducted the census for this election, also around 145 only they could conduct. So this all the things, and also they entered the new law targeting who are criticizing the election. So more than 200 people were criminalized for speaking out against this election, and the people were forced to vote. All these things combined, so we can say this is the sham election. Beside this, the European Union and also many other countries, including the ASEAN, they rejected this election. They have said clearly they are not going to accept this election. But now the military is still holding power. They will hand over to this so-called civilian government in maybe next month. But during these 5 years, UN organization and also the many other countries, they handed their credential to the military coup leader who committed the genocide against the Rohingya, who committed the crime against humanity and the war crime against the entire Myanmar population. So I guess, despite this, all this, the rejection during the election, saying sham election, whatever. After they form the so-called civilian government next month, we will see how it will go, and I am expecting business as usual. Remember in 2010 when the military general Thein say he changed the uniform from military uniform to the civilian uniform. This, like, the international crisis group based in the Brussels, they have offered him the Peace Prize, and he was in New York attending the General Assembly. So Obama visited. These all are the things going to happen. Maybe this we are not sure yet whether ICC has already issued the arrest warrants against the this military coup leader Maï Online for the genocide case, because ICC has maybe issued this secretly, and for sure Argentinian court has already issued the arrest warrant, so he's wanted by the at least one court. So this guy is going to lead the country, and the international community is going to do the business as usual. So this is what I am expecting, because if the international community has the will to change the situation in Myanmar, it would have changed long ago. So let me stop here for the next question.
Naisan, recently the Myanmar military announced amnesty for 10,000 prisoners. Considering that they have arrested so many thousands since the coup, so many Rohingya from 2012, what does this actually mean? Are all these people going to be coming home?
Well, there are about among the 10,200 something or 700, I forgot the exact number. Anyway, more than 7,000 are charged with the under terrorism code. So, of course, we are happy because they were unjustly arrested by the military regime, and they were in the prison for almost 3, 4, 5 years. So they should be released. And the thing is, still there are more than 20,000 remain in detention. Many of them are unjustly arrested by the military because they were engaging, in this protest, or the speaking against the military, all these things. So this is after the election, they want to show the world that they are the good guy. They want to reform. They want to change the situation. That is the reason, it is the tactical PR effort. And just, I think, in November, yes, in November, I think, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security released a statement that they are going to stop this protected status of the Burmese, those U.S. visa holder. So in this statement, they have included that, the Myanmar is going to hold the election. There are the peace process. There are the reform. Something that is not existing in the country, they have included. So for this military regime, they want to ease the sanction. They want to ease the pressure. So they want to. They are showing something to the international community that they are in a process of changing the entire thing. So this is the PR effort, and also that this is also the what international community want, because they want to do the business as usual. I don't really trust the international community because I have been to the many closed door meeting and discuss many things. Even when it comes to the jet fuel, they are talking. In Burmese media, you will find that Iran has been supplying the jet fuel to Myanmar. Of course, European countries are also supplying the jet fuel. When I raised this question in the closed door meeting, they were saying, we are supplying very little, it is nothing going to happen. I asked them, even if you are supplying the 1 liter, you should stop. They said, no, you don't understand. So this kind of thing, there are a lot of things ongoing. So, I mean, that is the reason that they just want to please the international community. That is why they released these people.
Nasan, this thing that we have been seeing in the news that really went viral last week about a Rohingya man who was killed by ICE agents. And then also in the UK, now they're not going to allow Myanmar students to be on study visas anymore. I mean, amid such horror back home, is it really okay to start pushing back like this pushback from the international community? It's so problematic. Why is this happening?
Well, when it comes to the international community, I would only appreciate one thing, their humanitarian assistance effort, because our brother and sister in the camp, they are just depending on their contribution, their assistance. Another one thing is the initiative of the OIC for this ICJ case. The other things, like the Rohingya inside the country are in two condition, like 130,000 are confined into the camp, like in the concentration camp for more than, 13 years now, and the remaining are under brutal treatment of the Arakan army. So nobody is really caring to change the situation. If the international community really care, the majority of the Rohingya will not be in Bangladesh. So in regard to this eyes, the man, the blind man, was killed by the eyes. It happened to many other in the US. The situation you saw in the several news now, they are dividing their attention to many other subjects, so we are not seeing much, but still these are ongoing, that the people are suffering. So this man was one of the unfortunate. So what I would say, the US government determine the Rohingya suffering as a crime against humanity and the genocide. They have the right, they have obligation to protect the Rohingya refugee there. So I hope they will not do the same mistake again. In regard to this UK, I think the same strategy will be the policy will be adopted by the European Union as well. Because they don't really want this asylum seeker refugee in their country. That is their policy. So not only the Myanmar and other 3 countries also they have targeted, and I think they will do more, because the situation in the Western world is completely changed. And like before, they are not talking about the human right, they are not talking about the freedom of speech. They just don't want all these people here.
Business over human rights, unfortunately, is the way things are going at the moment. Nasan, under the circumstances and with this sham election and with the way the Myanmar military continues in the country, is the conversation about repatriation from Bangladesh still a viable one?
No, I don't think so, because the majority of the Rohingya area is controlled by the Arakan army since the early 2024, almost 2 years now. And in 2024 alone, they killed at least 2,500 Rohingya in the different places. And this Hoya City, the massacre is the most brutal one, and also the massacre at the Naf River bank on the August 5th, 2024, also very significant. and they have pushed the 150,000 to Bangladesh. Within 1 year, the people are still fleeing because of the forced conscription, and especially you are talking about the International Women Day. I think the women should raise above this. The women and the underage men, the under 18, like 14, 15 years old, 16 years old, are forcibly conscripted by the Arkan army nowadays. I have been following, and also my colleague have been following all this development. And this is why they are doing is the Rohingya people, they really value their daughters and the wife. So that is the reason the people, they don't really want their daughter serve in the this Arkan army. Is the age I think up to 35. So the most of the wife also will be targeted. So that is the reason the people are still fleeing. And also inside, since the Arkan army took over the territory, the people have no opportunity for their livelihood. They are just, there are no NGO, no humanitarian agency. They are just depending on the money that's sent by their loved one or the relative in the diaspora or in the different region across the country. They are depending on that. So there are the people who don't have any relative abroad, so they are really suffering. They don't have the regular meal. And also there were a lot of the report even published by the Burmese media in situ, who are under control of the Myanmar military. They were, they don't have any meal. They were just eating the sweet potatoes. Some of them, they committed suicide. So this is the situation. In this situation, the repatriation is impossible. Whoever talk about the repatriation, they don't have the actual information of the ground. And under the Arkan army, it is impossible because they are not the government, and also their treatment against the Rohingya is not lesser than the Myanmar military. So I would say one line that in one short message, the genocide is still ongoing. It is by the two party now. One is the Myanmar military, that 130,000 plus are confined into the camp, and that the remaining are the under Arakan army. Both of them are committing the genocide against the Rohingya, and the genocide is ongoing.
Thank you, Nason. We have to leave it there, but it's always very informative and we always learn a lot when we hear from you. I wish you and your family all the best for the rest of Ramadan, and we look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you so much, Shabnam. You are like my sister, and I wish you the same. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam. Listeners, we're now going to go to an ad break, and then when we come back, we're going to speak to two more guests.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
Ah, the kitchen, the heart of the home, where memories are made and celebrated. Our go-to place for those freshly stacked pancakes early in the morning or for that late-night snack munchies. We are in there together, cooking, eating and celebrating life together. Let's keep the kitchen a place that is shared by everyone, where we build stronger bonds and grow together. Sunfoil, Now We Cooking. Visit nowwecooking.co.za for recipes that everyone can help make.
Right now, over 150 million children around the world are orphaned, facing hunger, hardship, and uncertainty. With Islamic Relief's Orphan Sponsorship Program, you can provide a child with access to education, nutritious food, essential healthcare, and a safe home. Your sponsorship is not just support, it's hope, security, and a brighter future. Be the reason an orphan child smiles again. Sponsor an orphan today with Islamic Relief.
Freedom Stationery supply Marlin and Marlin Kids pens to me and my school friends. They supply just about everything we need to help us get a better education, from books to files to rulers. In fact, any any accessory we need. Freedom Stationery. Education for the nation. What does accessory mean?
World-class financial services only at Sapphire Global, your financial partner. If you are looking for Islamic Sharia and ethical financial products, look no further. Sapphire Global offers a wide range of financial service offerings from short-term to life and investments. A full-service center with all financial requirements under one brand. Our highly skilled and experienced consultants are ready to help protect your financial future. Contact us on 041 001 0184 or visit our website on www.sapphireglobalfs.com. Sapphire Global is an authorized financial services provider.
This Ramadan, as we prepare to break our fast, spare a thought for the millions of families around the world who have nothing on their tables. You can change that. For many, you are their hope. For just 1,590 Rand, you can provide a Ramadan food parcel to feed a family of 5 for the entire month. Help Muslim Hands continue serving humanity. Give your zakat and sadaqah at muslimhands.org.za.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum, listeners, and welcome back to this very special Rohingya Ramadan edition at Salam Media with Protect the Rohingya. Our next guest is the lead of a Rohingya women's organization known as the Rohingya Maìyafuìnor Collaborative Network, and she's also a UN Minority Fellow. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show, Yasmin.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you feeling and how are you doing today?
We're great. I hope your Ramadan is going well. Thank you for being in the studio with us today. And Yasmin, let's just get into it. There are very few Rohingya women-led organizations in the diaspora, but also in general. What are the main challenges your team faces?
I think the main challenges when it comes to being a Rohingya woman is, first of all of the layers of oppression that we are currently dealing with. A lot of it has to do with the first of all, we are already born into a genocide, and a genocide that is very gendered, that looks to strip us of our dignity in all the ways possible. And the work gets even harder in that sense. A lot of our work revolves around, the visibility of Rohingya women. And I know that the previous speakers have already kindly mentioned it. There are multiple barriers when it comes to us being able to do our effective works. And a lot of them come from, all sides, not just from within our own community. We're not just dealing with misogyny at the individual level. We're also dealing with the states, with barriers in the institutions that we involve ourselves in. And a lot of those have to do with, not just resources, funding, but also access. Also, work that has to do with decisions that are made on our behalf without consulting with us or without us being, present. And a lot of those unfortunately tend to fail at addressing the issues because, of course, when we're not in the room, we can't really tell you what goes on and what needs to be done in order for the problem to lessen or for the issues to be addressed.
Mm-hmm. And building on your last question, you mentioned funding. In the current global environment of aid cuts, how do organizations like yours step in to fill the gaps?
Well, there's a bit of a long answer to that, and I hope that I can indulge myself. When we realize that there is a huge gap when it comes to not only Rohingya women being visible in this community, there are very few Rohingya women's organization working on the ground and working at the diaspora level, because again, being part of diaspora is not about us just doing this because of the glory. It's because we have passport and our counterparts don't. And that's the only privilege that we're hanging on to in order to be able to actually travel around and ensure that people understand that this is a genocide and it needs as much attention as any other. So we realize that we're also lacking in terms of the internet presence. A lot of other genocides are live streamed, and it's horrendous to say that, but at the same time, there are very few attention. I guess very few people who are actually watching this and following the situation of the Rohingya long term. And so we realized we must build a movement online as well, and that's again not an easy work. But we realized we must use some of the tools that young people are currently using in order for the movement to be pushed forward. And we've been able to build a fair bit of audience on several online platforms. And we realized that, rage baiting and trolling the trolls have been really helpful and successful in our case. And that is where we are able to interact with some supporters who actually have begun to learn how the genocide started and educate themselves more, and that actually results in some of the funding and some of the crowdfunding that we receive. In the past, I would say 2 years of RMCN being at work, we have received almost nearing 250,000 US dollars. And all of it, 100% of it, has gone directly to support programs, life-saving aid, emergency, fire response, and various others, especially gender-sensitive care in cases of sexual and gender-based violence. So the seemingly stupid content or the seemingly funny, innocuous videos that we keep pushing out are all directly resulting in people being able to live or breathe another day. And that is, I think, one of our most proud moments. At the same time, we realized there is a political will. There is enough to go around. And we must continue to utilize some of these tactics in order for the issue to stay relevant.
We are short on time, but I want to ask you one more question. Some of your has been around fighting hate campaigns against the Rohingya in the global south. Who is pushing this agenda, and what have your organization's responses been and your successes, apart from the online presence, of course, and the videos? And actually, they're really cool to engage with. I've been watching them quite. So apart from that, but like in the actual space of engagement, who do you think is pushing the agenda? What have your organization's responses been? And what do you think your successes are, apart from bringing in the funding and engaging with young people?
Of course. Really thankful that you asked that. A lot of the beneficiary, rather, of the hate speech tend to be bad actors in the region. And I don't really need to name them because they're very fairly visible. The issue is a lot of politicians within Southeast Asia, specifically in South Asia, where Rohingya are currently residing in or, seeking refuge in, a lot of them have, very, very direct relationships with the military junta from Myanmar. And trades of, the size of billions of dollars are done with these regimes throughout the years, and even post coup, even post 2017 genocidal campaigns against Rohingya, business are running as usual, as the other guests have already mentioned. But on the side of hate speech, or on the side of human rights violation, a lot of ASEAN countries will say, oh, we can't touch the sovereign issues of another nation, because of course there is this non-intervention clause. But non-intervention has never been invoked when it comes to business profits, profit sharing, or trade deals. And what we do is we call out exactly that. We go out there in Southeast Asia and build coalition with a lot of different civil society organizations. We're part of the ASEAN People's Forum, and we go there every single year to clearly re-emphasize the idea of, inclusion of Rohingya, and why shouldn't Rohingya be included in this region? This is our home. And we continue to hold these politicians accountable for the hate speech that they spew, especially in the cases of Southeast Asia. A lot of these hate speech often leads to democratic backsliding, and that's one of the litmus tests that we continue to hold onto and continue to advocate around. Because again, hate speech only leads to, if we don't pay attention, a genocide and a complete destruction of a society. And so we want to make sure that, we continue to fight it online, fight it in real life. We do a lot of different activities, and feel free to check it out at Rohingya Women Collaborative on Instagram and other platforms.
Thank you so much, Yasmin. I want to wish you and your team and your families a wonderful Ramadan for the days that they have left. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Such an honor to be here.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Okay, listeners, we're going to be going to our final guest in this very special Ramadan Rohingya broadcast. We're speaking to Dr. Ambia. Of course, it's not enough to just be a pediatrician. You have to be a psychiatrist as well. We always learn so much speaking to Dr. Ambia. Welcome to the show, and I hope your Ramadan is going well so far. Dr. Ambia, can you hear me? Let's try again. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Ambia. Can you hear me? Okay, we're going to try a short ad break, and then when we come back, we're going to try to connect to Dr. Ambia again.
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
সুন্দর দিন আসে আবার রমজান আসে বেশি করি সওয়াব হামাইবার আবার মৌকা আসে কেন সুন্দর দিন আসে আবার রমজান আসে বেশি করি সওয়াব হামাইবার আবার মৌকা আসে শুকরিয়া আল্লাহ দুনিয়া তারে দি ফেরায়াস ইয়া নতুন আরো বেশি মুসলিম আরে বানায় লা ইলাহা ইল্লাল্লাহ মুহাম্মাদুর রাসূলুল্লাহ লা ইলাহা ইল্লাল্লাহ মুহাম্মাদুর রাসূলুল্লাহ লা ইলাহা ইল্লাল্লাহ Muhammadur Rasulullah. Tar gulame goriyum, namazara poriyum, foi tauri taj kori duara magiyum. Oh Allah, tar gulame goriyum, namazara poriyum, foi tauri taj kori duara magiyum. Tarabiyo for you, Quran Sharif for you, Ruza Dori Dori Allah, Tora Badat Gori you. Saka Hayrat Gori you, Zaka Tara Gori you, Gori Vigamar Muka Tara.
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
Assalamu alaikum, listeners. We're back with our final guest on the special Rohingya Ramadan broadcast, and we're speaking to Dr. Ambia from the Rohingya Medics and also from the RCC, which is the Rohingya Consultative Council. Dr. Ambia, I hope you can hear us. Welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wonderful.
Salam Media, thank you very much for continuously always making this program, especially in every Ramadan. It means to us a lot. And I wish all the women of the world Happy Women's Day, who are oppressed as well as who are not oppressed and enjoying the freedom and dignified life. It is your duty to stand for the ones who are not enjoying. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Ambia. Dr. Ambia, let's begin with an update on the medical and psychological issues faced by Rohingya children in both Bangladesh and Myanmar at the current time.
Thank you very much. Shabnam, the situation in Myanmar, especially Arakan state, it's quite challenging when it comes to even getting the information. As you know, that the media is not allowed, and then whatever we are getting the information, it's deteriorating and then becoming worse and worse with the time. As I've said, I don't have the concrete informations, but the conditions are deteriorating. When it comes to the in the camps, Rohingya children face still very serious health and psychological challenges. Medically, we see high levels of malnutrition still, infectious diseases, and illness related to poor sanitation because of the overcrowded living conditions, and also there's no livelihood and also funding cuts. And but the psychological impact is just as serious. Many children witnessed violence, lost family members, and continue to live with deep uncertainty about their future. And as a pediatrician and a psychiatrist, I believe these children need not only medical treatment, but also long-term mental health support, as well as trauma therapy.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Ambia, are you seeing an improvement when it comes to access from what we saw in 2017 to now? Is there better access, and is there specific access to reproductive health spaces?
You know, there has been some improvement in healthcare access for Rohingya women compared to the early years of the crisis, especially in maternal care, vaccinations, and antenatal services still provided by some of the humanitarian organizations. However, many challenges and risks remain. Clinics are quite overcrowded, resources are limited, and due to the funding cuts, and are able to affect properly. So there has been progress, but still Rohingya women still face significant barriers to receiving consistent and specialized health care.
Dr. Ambia, we're speaking a lot about women today, it being International Women's Day. What are some pointers you can give to young Rohingya women who want to, like yourself, work for the community, those that are in the diaspora and those that are in the camps?
It's a very good question. Might not be for me because, I have a different stand. I know that many in the world, people talk about the women rights, feminism, whereas, and then it is judged by to one community or to the religion, but if you see globally, all the people, all the women or majority of the women in every religion, in every community, civilized, uncivilized, educated, not educated, still they are being oppressed. It's not only the Islam, women who are practicing Islam, it's not only the Rohingya women, even in Myanmar, practicing different religions, different backgrounds, they're also being oppressed. What I believe, if we really want to be a proper and justice to our people and to the other people, it is very important that we remain equal, that we believe in the equality. It's nothing to do only rights for the women, rights for the children, rights for the men. It should be equal. Whatever God has blessed us, we should try to use it to the proper way and not by judging by the gender or by the background. Alhamdulillah, Allah has given me everything today and I am blessed, and one of the most blessing person in the mankind, especially when it comes to the Rohingya. But one of the thing is that yes, initially I used to talk about the women rights and all those, but I just have noticed if you compare the other countries who are openly talking about the women rights and all those stuff, they have been also, they were 50 years back ago, they never enjoyed those rights. With the education, with the exposing, with getting the liberty and dignified life, they managed to talk about, they managed to bring their the rights about the women. So we need to see the Rohingya women as not only as a victim, but also a resilient, and that we have a voice, and we should not be judged because of the religion or because of the Rohingya, that we are not giving the rights. We will become, I mean, if you see it from 2017 and the other last years, we have improved a lot, and it is not only the Rohingyas, as I've said, it is not only the women who are practicing Islam, it is in every religion, in every country. It's just that we need time.
And Dr. Ambia, we're almost out of time for the show today, but the last thing I want to ask you is, what is your Ramadan message for all of our listeners out there?
Ramadan reminds us of the importance of caring for those who are suffering. So it's not only the millions of Rohingyas who are still living in the displacement and uncertainty, but even other minorities in Myanmar. The whole country has collapsed. So I hope this holy month inspires the global community to continue supporting humanitarian efforts, as well as the political stance to work towards peace, justice, and safe future, not only for the Rohingya people, but for the people of Myanmar.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ambia. It's always very enlightening to hear your views on things, and we wish you the best for the rest of Ramadan.
Thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you so much. Listeners, with that, we call to a close our special Ramadan Rohingya broadcast. I want to thank our special guests today, Lwin, Dr. Ambia, Yasmin, Hafsar, and Khin. I also want to thank Panti and Abdus Salam for production and Zahra for live tweeting, and all of you, the guests who have joined us to learn more about the Rohingya situation. And a special shout out to a small organization with a big heart, Colors of Hope, that runs Rohingya feeding projects. So please check them out online, and I wish you and your families best for what is remaining of Ramadan. And let us go back home today and speak to the people around us at iftar. Tell them about the Rohingya. Tell them something you heard on the show. From myself, Shabnam, Assalamu alaikum.